What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Friday. I'm trying to relax and enjoy the NBA slate that's coming up, but it is another crazy one. It's going to be like this the rest of the way. This is a lot of games to go through. So, what I'm going to do is just tell you what I'm prioritizing. 1 to 2 Clippers, preferably Coffee, Kennard, Man. 1 to 2 OKC players, preferably. That's where it gets tricky. I'm interested in Waters, Sar. I don't know if I need one. I don't know if I need to do the OKC thing. I think if you do, you could run it back with a Detroit cheapie like Killian Hayes, like Saban Lee. That's sort of the general place. Is we want to attack the teams with 8 players, and OKC and the Clippers are those teams. Unfortunately, OKC's prices are up a little bit, so I'm not as 100% sure that on this size of a slate that you need anybody. But I like Aaron Wiggins. I like Lindy Waters. I think Sar has extreme upside. Krejci plays a ton of minutes and can shoot, so if he gets hot, certainly a lot of arguments to be made. And then Maladon, maybe a little more so on DraftKings. I'm sorry, on FanDuel. And it feels like a game where Poku could go wild. So you got a lot of guys to choose from, and it's really hard to differentiate them in terms of a projection standpoint. But that is those are the other situations. The one I'm lower on, and I do think I will probably end up with a Milwaukee player in a lot of my lineups, but they've got bodies still. I'm a little lower on the Milwaukee and the Detroit value, but I will have pieces of that as well. So there's your basically like your value for the day. My preferred value I have right now is I actually one from Memphis too. I do like Tillman, Nwora, Kennard, Coffee as my main ones, with some Clark. Melton is not exactly he's more of a medium spend. Who else do we have? I guess I pretty much named. Why I already said Waters and Hayes. It's going to be tough, and it's going to depend on starting lineup. So the main thing we have to focus on for right now is we can relax, because unless you're playing Luka, which is completely fine, I have no problem if anybody wants to play Luka. I don't really see anything that I have to do in these early games. Yeah, the KC, the KP revenge against the team, sure. That's one of the spend ups you could use tonight. I probably am just sticking with the Luka side of that one, but I don't mind it. The Thunder signed Jalen Horde to a 10-day contract, so you'd think he'd be there for the game, which would give them 9 bodies. So OKC gets a tiny bit less interesting, but still interesting. Toronto and Orlando, I don't need to play anybody. I might play Van Vliet in the lineup on FanDuel. I just didn't quite end up with any interest enough in the Magic. You've got this, who knows how much this Kennedy kid is going to play. I'd like to see a starting lineup before I really decide, but I really think we're playing a little bit the waiting game. I do like in Boston, if you just somehow hope and pray that game stays close, I like the idea of playing Jaylen Brown or Tatum. I prefer Brown, just the way I'm building, and nobody on the other side for me. So really, I'm waiting till it's an 8 o'clock Eastern start time for me, with the exception of a couple Luka lineups. That's where I'm at. Poku, when did Poku just get announced? Did I miss? How did that happen? What is going on? I did not get that alert. Let me double check my thing here. That's wild. I didn't even see that one. Let me see. Yeah. Wow. I guess I missed that one. I'll give a bump to every Thunder player, and even with this Jalen Horde now they're back to 8 again. So you want one of these guys. I think it depends on the starting lineups. We can wait and see. That's one thing. Still like all of them. Wiggins, probably in order of favorites. I think Maladon actually would be my favorite. I like Sar a lot. I don't care if he starts. I want to see what happens with Waters if he starts, but I like him as well. You take the shot on Roby, who occasionally will just put up 50 in this spot. Makes that game more stackable too without Poku, because I think you do definitely want at least 1 or 2 from there. So there's potentially half your lineup built between OKC and the Clippers. And then you have the Pistons stuff you can mix in as well. It's going to be very easy to spend all the way up is the point. Maybe playing some middling guys who are in these games like Maladon or Roby, or on the Clipper side, Man. I like Hartenstein. I know it sounds weird, but we have a lot of value, but they have 8 bodies too. And there's no reason why they won't give Hartenstein more run than usual. but it feels a little thin at 5,100. But I'm not gonna like. I don't know. This could be a better spot than he's seen in a while. I mean, you have no Morris, George, Reggie. It's wild. There's somebody's gonna. I mean, I like Man the best over there with Coffee and Kennard, but I mean, Covington is a good play. So you're going to be mixing in these two different. If you're multi-building, ask me any questions when it comes to like a 1v1 because I'm really not even dead settled on it, especially without the starting lineup. But I'll still try to answer the question, assuming what we have currently as the starting lineup is the starting lineup. So fire them on in, say what's up when you get in the chat, and let's try to figure out a way to make some money on this slate. Yeah, the whole game is definitely appealing now, for sure. Thanks for the update, Kevin Wise. That was going to take another minute. Crazy. Good evening, to Justin. Everybody else, drop in some questions and thoughts because that's sort of what I'm doing. The list of the guys who I like. I like Jokic, Portis, Ingram. Ingram is my sneaky one. I don't know. I don't know if I buy this 30-minute limit, especially in a game that means this much for what they've been trying to do all year. So especially in being back in LA, I like Ingram as a weird one. Man, Jokic, and Portis should all be popular and for good reason on both sides. But the other guys you're now getting involved in are Maledon to spend a little bit up for. I mean, not that much up. Roby, Mitchell, LeBron, Luka, Brown, or Tatum. Those are my main plays, but those are secondary to the Jokic, Man, Portis, Ingram. And I know that Ingram play is weird, but that is one that I am hoping will make me all the money tonight. Let's see. What's up, MJ? Good to see you, man. And I'm really going to chill and relax and, wait for some questions and stuff to pop in. And it's Friday. I've been doing this little health thing all week and like literally just eating like nothing and working out like crazy every day. And so I'm like having kombucha, relaxing. So drop in some questions, drop in your thoughts. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm wrong. Yesterday was not our best day. It was a bad week for me. I only had one winning day, but that's okay. I don't mind the one winning day. It just wasn't enough to make up for the rest of the week. But it's, it was my time to have a little bit of a down one. I'm having a little down run in golf too. Anyway. I like the idea of Ingram. I like CJ as well. I think that this 30-minute, the reason why I'm drawn to Ingram is that this 30 minutes doesn't necessarily feel like a must to me. And I am not if we hear it again, then I'll say it. But I don't know. I'm not exactly buying it. And I like the idea of playing an Ingram, LeBron, or AD lineup. And I think that's a really interesting way to go that I don't think people are going to be on. And his price is appealing, but I don't mind the CJ thing at all. I went for the ultimate, hey, I can win a tournament with this guy if I get this part right. Yeah. Houston, the problem is who are you not playing to get those guys in? Yeah, that's a great game like it was the other night. We didn't have, 3 teams with 8 players. Now they all have, and they were one of them that had no players. Now they have all their players and they're more expensive. So Davion Mitchell, Kevin Porter Jr., I got to make sure I get a little KPJ. If Sengun plays, I'm playing him. I don't particularly care what anybody else thinks about that. It's going to play the long game on this guy, and I'll just always play him if he's starting. So it depends on whether he plays or not. So I can't answer the rest of Houston without the Sengun news, but Porter and Green would be the obvious ones. But I would need Sengun probably to be out to really want to stack that game. I think Lyles is fine. And Mitchell, Lyles, Porter, Green, I guess. And then you get all the other value. I think that's a reasonable way to go. Hey, I really appreciate it, Sharks. We're going to be doing it. We've had a great second half of this NBA season. We just, we're ready for baseball. It's going to be fun. So we're excited about that. We're also doing some some trading videos, both using, starting next Wednesday, we'll have trading videos out using SaberSim, how to use SaberSim for baseball, different baseball stacking things. We already have one video out of a 3-parter, and we are going to keep updating that as a general basics. And then we get into some more advanced stuff as we go along. What's up, y'all? Trying to put Luka and Jokic in the same lineup. Do you think that's necessary or too much of a reach? I think that's going to be the very obvious thing to do today. I think that's going to be actually a pretty common build. I did it the other day when they were playing. I don't think it's when I say common, anything above a couple percent with the two of them together. And I think that is going to be pretty popular. So no, it's completely fine to do. There's plenty of value to get you there, even with those two guys. So if you want to do it, I support your endeavors. Go ahead and do it. Kind of like the Murray pivot today, but I do like Luka. I like Luka less than I did. People sort of overlook the fact that Luka's that game the other day. They're like, oh, he can get there even in short time. I'm like, yeah, but that game they didn't have Spencer Dinwiddie in that game, and he can go off still, but he's much more likely to go off with Spencer Dinwiddie not carrying some of the load. So I'm a little lower on Luka than I am Jokic today. Actually, a decent amount lower, but I'm never going to twist my arm to play Luka. I like the idea of a low-owned LeBron paired with one of either McCollum or actually one of the three, McCollum, Vucevic, or it's the Lakers. They get crazy run up every single time. Somebody scores $1 million on them. Somebody's going to do it. But I personally am siding with the 7,600 over there. Oh, AD on FanDuel for 7,600. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting tournament play because, first of all, good pace game, former team, all yada. But they need to win. They need to win. You're telling me that they're going to be out there and hold them to a strict minutes limit, unless we hear a very strict minutes limit. They might if they want to throw away, but people are wrong when they say the Lakers were trying to throw the season away. They are not. They just can't win. And they haven't had these three guys played 13 games together. What are you going to do? Not to say that they would have been great, but they certainly would have been a top 6 seed if they all three played every game together, and they just never got to that chance. They stumbled out the gate and never got another chance, really. But I like the idea of Anthony Davis, and I think on FanDuel, I'm just taking a look at my projected. I think he's going to be around 10% owned on FanDuel, but I'm totally good with that. I really like the Timberwolves guys on FanDuel. They're just too cheap. So Edwards, and then D'Angelo Russell's price is shocking. He's 5,400. He's not even going to be that popular. He's 5,400. Guy can put up 50. The 10x of 5,400 price. Let's play that guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't need him to have I don't need him to have a consistent good game for me to get there. He can have a bad game. I could still get there with him. They had some blowouts in there too. So lately, don't worry about his game log. Just play one of. To me on FanDuel, that's the thing. The one thing that's different. I'm trying to play one of Towns, Edwards, or Russell at least in my lineups, and I'm playing Jokic. I actually have little mini stacks with Russell and Edwards, who I never usually play together, but their price allows me to at 5,400 and 6,800. And then you put Jokic on the other side of it, and let's see what happens. Do I like Dwight? You think they'll need him tonight? No, I don't like Dwight. I don't think he'll start. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play at all. I think more likely he gets his old run. He could occasionally put up something. Terrible matchup, but again, they want to play him next to AD after he played well. Maybe they will. The current lineups are nobody's projecting him to start, but it's a good chance that he could start. But I think we're just reaching for value when we've got so many good pieces that they can't even be too popular. That why do we need to play Dwight over guys who are going to actually get minutes? But I again, every time I've said this, I'm on the Dwight side because you get zero owned guys who can 10x their price. That's incredible. And that's last night I should have stuck to it on a smaller slate. I really wish I did. I would have changed my build enough to make some serious money, and I didn't do it. I mentioned on the show that I wasn't going to do it, but I thought it was a great idea to play for tournaments. People asked me how to get there. I played Dwight, it's all these things, and sure enough, I missed out on it. All right, guys, keep firing in questions and thoughts. And what are we going to do? It seems like people are tapping out of basketball. It just always happens this time because it's just too crazy. I don't blame any of you. Get ready for MLB. That'll be a different kind of we don't need to worry about every little thing changing. Yeah, was my guy starting tonight? Okay, well, then I'll find someone else who's playing. It doesn't need to be this big changes the whole team thing. This is totally different. Yeah, but I mean, the needing him against Joval cuts both ways. You're talking about paying 4,200 for a guy in a bad matchup because he's playing against a guy because it's a bad matchup. Sort of is like if you wanted to play another guy I like tonight, Isaiah Stewart. If you wanted to play him last night against Embiid, I would have said that was probably not a great idea. But you want to play him against OKC's front line on the back-to-back after getting less minutes? That's what I would do. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's just my sort of overall brain working right now. If AD doesn't play center, they might start. They very well might start Dwight. But then what are you asking for? You're asking for Dwight's role that we saw him in at the beginning of the season, where he was rarely in the 20s, and now we want to play him over guys who are projected to score 35 fantasy points and 9x. How does it work? You know what I mean? Why if we didn't play Dwight And now LeBron and AD are back, and now we'll play Dwight. Like, it just makes no sense. I have interest in all the front court. I want to see who's starting, but I definitely have interest in Livers. I have interest in Stewart, and I have interest in Braxton Key. But again, they've got at least 10 bodies that they can use, and they've got good players who are going to soak up the usage. The difference is Isaiah Stewart is going – I mean, he should crush. Like, he really should. Foul trouble is always a thing with him, but I actually think I might add Isaiah Stewart to my list of – I don't want to say preferred, like, must plays, but he is a guy we should play. And, guys, I do have my core plays listed on SaberSim. If you guys have SaberSim through TrueDFS, check that out. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you guys alone here for a minute, and I have to go get something at my door, and then we are going to keep talking. But hopefully you guys will have some more for me, because we need to have some back and forth. I love the questions. Like, I mean, the Dwight thing is like that weird play. You know what? If you're playing a lineup that has 12,000 entries or 15,000 entries and you have 4,200, like, instead of using one of those guys, plug him in, take a shot. But you got to think that, he makes less practical sense that he's made basically any day in months. And now to use him, it just feels a little bit thin. Jones, play that guy. No, it's everything with Sacramento, right? Like, well, first of all, like, they didn't want to play Alex. They had all the whole thing with Len with minutes. What worries me with them is they've got 12 bodies. But I do like him in a vacuum. But, like, he had a big game against them last time. Is he a better play than Stewart? I don't think so, actually. It's a great matchup. But do they need to play him 34 minutes every game? Not going to happen every time. You're going to get Metu in there, who no one's going to play tonight. He's another one of those sneaky ones you could throw in there that could put up 40 and just as easily take over the center minutes. But I do like him for what it's worth. I do like Damian Jones. I put him in one of my initial builds, I believe. And I think he's a good tournament play because he's going to be low owned. I don't think that you should expect 50 fantasy points from him, but I do think you could expect 35 potentially, maybe a little bit more. And he's got the upside of 50. Obviously, we know that because it just happened, but little bit less interested at 5,500. But I'm okay with it. Again, I'd say take it either way. There's a lot of good plays. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry about that. See, that's what we got to get some questions going, guys. We got to get some stuff going because I don't know how to, like, I've always said this. I'm never as good hosting a show myself. Stars and Strubs built for a FanDuel single entry, shooting one bullet. Great information, Aaron. I think that it is a little Stars and Scrubsy, but you don't have to go all the way down. You can play the guys like D'Angelo Russell at Sengun if he plays, Sadiq Day. You can mix in some of these mid-tier plays with those high-tier plays. Bobby Portis is an obvious one. You can maybe play Tillman over there where people are less likely to play him. That's the way I would be building here. So Kevin Porter Jr. in the middle. But in general, it looks real tasty to play Luka and Jokic, and I did that in my first big build over there. So I couldn't fault you. And I still got good plays in the middle ground. The Edwards, the Russell, the Meltons. Mark, I love that Mark's here. I just had nothing. I didn't know what to say. I had to go get the door and get a package thing, but I kept them waiting for a minute, and we need some back and forth. I wish I had my man Mark on with me, because when Sheets is gone and Mark fills it, he does a great job too. It's like a different version of Sheets. Really, they think very similarly. It's actually great. Is Jordan at 3? Absolutely. The only problem is just wait for the starting lineup. I know it's horrible to say that or whatever. People get annoyed. I don't even know if people get annoyed. They shouldn't. If he's starting, I will play him. If he's not, I will probably still play a little bit of him just because he'll be lower owned. But anybody who's starting for Milwaukee is in play. I don't think I'm going to reach down to their bench unless it was Nora. And or for some reason, with all these guys out, they said they had Bobby Portis as the 6-man role. He's going to be ready for the playoffs. That would be hilarious. Actually, I hope they do that, because that would just like throw everyone off, and like no one would play Bobby Portis. And I think Bobby Portis is a really good play, especially on FanDuel. Obviously, we all know that. No, George Hill, that's exactly the kind of plays I don't want to make. Again, deep. Again, guys who can handle the ball. I don't have any interest in George Hill personally. If he happens to get there, so be it. There's plenty of other guys who are going to get there that I already am playing, and I don't need to play a guy who doesn't do anything except for play decent real life basketball. Let's see. All right. Yeah, keep asking a bunch. KTW, we love it. Let's go. Let's go back and forth. I don't have, because I tell my whole plan, but part of my plan involves we need a starting lineups for the 80 Eastern games. But I did go through all the guys, and I'm happy to repeat it if someone needs me to. We've got extra time today, even though it's a big slate, because I try to make these big slates narrow occasionally. Look, you're going to get burned most of the time when you do that. You're not going to win most of the time when you're playing in these slates. But when you win and you hit it right and you keep that core similar, you're going to win a bunch. Is Barton viable if you can't get to Jokic? I don't see any reason to go out of your way to try and target a player from Denver. And ask which site too. I have no idea. Like, I'm just taking a look. Nothing about today would have made me think anything about Will Barton. Could he accidentally put up a game? Sure. Is there any reason to play him? No. No, there's none. I guess you could argue. I mean, I don't know. You're getting very thin there with that play over guys like Anthony Melton and Mann and Russell, who have a real ceiling. Yeah. So that's a no on that one. What's up, Nick? Hey, good to see you, buddy. Was wondering where you were. Drop in some questions. Talk about what you guys are doing, what you like maybe that I don't like, and some spots that you want to attack. You could do the all revenge thing. It seems like every day in the NBA these days. Today I have some revengey lineups. You know, you've got the you could play the Anthony Davis and Brandon. Sorry, you know what I'm talking about. Why did I lose my Lakers train of thought here? Brandon Ingram, and you could play KP. You could do it. I actually think for fun, I'm just in a little $4 or something, put in an all revenge with the value and try to revenge the value up. Roby's fine. It makes me like Sar more. It likes me. I mean, I like everybody on OKC now, so that's the problem. But it does. Yeah, naturally, you would want to get some Roby into your mix. The way I've got OKC ranked as of right now. It's weird, though, to have this ranking. Like, Waters is an awesome play. He's probably my favorite, followed by Maladon, followed by Sar, followed by Roby. I know that's my thing with Sar, but I'm going to probably roll with it. Yeah, they only have 8 bodies, though, and they just called a guy from the G League, so we'll see how much they play him. Game stack on DK. See, that's the thing, the Rocket stack. So my question is, if you try to build a game stack with that stack, let's see what it does. Because the problem is, you could get those 4 guys. You could play just the main 4. Like I said, depending on if Şengün plays. If Şengün plays, he's the guy for me. But right now, you could play Jalen Green and Porter and then run it back with Mitchell and Damian Jones or whoever you want. Trey Lyles. That's fine. And then you use the value. But then who else are you getting? Like, you're going to have this extreme value that in NBA, like, I don't have Sheets' numbers pulled up in front of me, but I could take a look at them, like, and just take we have guys who are expected to 8, 9, 10x their value. Now, that's more other sites than SaberSim. SaberSim doesn't have it quite as likely that these guys are going to 10x, but I think the only thing I would say is that SaberSim, for their projections, I don't understand the non-Clippers I just don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Unless there's something that I may be missing with the Clippers, because I've got them with 8 bodies. If you have 8 bodies, if you have 9, I can understand passing. But if you have 8 bodies and your highest price guy is 5,500, 5,400, it's basically impossible. It actually is 100% impossible that somebody like doesn't 7x or 8x or whatever, and probably multiple guys most of the time. So it's just about, I don't know. That's just the way I'm trying to look at that. Yeah, you could use maybe my way of doing it is what I would do is play Porter with like Mitchell or play Green, maybe with Lyles or Jones. But I don't know if I want to fully game stack it because we have such great value elsewhere. You could hit the nuts on that game stack or hit the right pieces and get your, 200 points or whatever, but then what are you doing at all the other positions? And that would be that's a lot to ask for. Maybe 160 points out of that game for 4 players would probably be about right. Maybe you could get 100. Yeah, you could go a little higher. Anyway, but how are you going to, like, what does the rest of your build look like? Because you have this value that if you try to build the one, trying to include like value from that game, it just doesn't quite make sense. I understand it's a little different on FanDuel, but also we don't know what's happening with Şengün. So let's keep in mind also these teams were much more limited. Like, it's so much less likely that Kevin Porter Jr. does what he did last time anyway, because that's what he goes nuts when there's nobody else there. If Şengün is there, he's the guy. That's my take. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I have no problem with Cade and Mitchell. No problem with that at all. Or Stewart. I love all those guys. I just love a lot of guys. So again, I'll just real quick before we get out of here, before it seems like the questions are kind of drying up. We got less people here on a Friday. It's been happening that way. It used to be the exact opposite. Every Friday you'd have like way more people. Yeah, Luka's the top spend up. It's really hard to argue against him. I don't mind if you want to. No, Luka's never is. No, I never had Luka as a top spend up. The top spend up is Jokic. And then Brogdon out, Batadze, Brissett, and Isaiah Jackson all available. So nothing we're going to do with that team, in my opinion. It's too many good spots. So you're playing 1 or 2 Clippers. You're playing 1 or 2 OKC players, and that's a minimum. You probably want a buck, but you don't need one. You probably want to look at the Detroit guys, but you don't need one. But those are your baseline. The individual plays Coffee, Nwora, Kennard, Tillman on DK for me. And even on FanDuel, I like that. I like that because people won't do it as much. Man, Stewart, Jokic, Portis, Ingram as guys to sort of spend for with some of the Davion Mitchells, some Jaylen Browns. But those are the main guys, those 8 guys I said. Bobby Portis says, I don't believe in talking locks. I don't talk locks. I don't believe in this absolute nonsense. I can say it for like a guy who's 3K who's going to 10X or something, but like, I'm not going to, nobody's a lock. I like Covington, but you guys remember, ask questions with the question mark. So I know exactly what you mean, whether you're saying you like Covington or whether you're asking me about him. I like Covington. Fine. He's one of the Clippers. You want 1 or 2 of them. He's definitely good. That means he's going to be in my lineups. I think it's really hard to prioritize I want the guys maybe who have the ball in their hands, and none of those guys especially do, but Kennard can shoot his way in the most, and Terrence Mann will have the ball in his hands the most. So I'm leaning towards Mann with one of Coffee or Kennard. Waters or Covington? Waters for me, assuming that he's starting, but that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Covington, we've seen this before, guys. We've seen it. This is an extreme example, sure, but like, I don't know. Something about it feels a little funny. I think Covington is the right, safer answer. I think Waters is, I don't know if he's the safer. I mean, I think he's the safer answer. I like Waters better. They're both going to be, I'm sort of shocked by what, I don't know where I need to look, but nobody has that many people on Waters for some reason, even though his projection is skyrocketing. Maybe they just haven't updated fully from the Poku news. No problem, Nick. No problem. Occasionally, look, I think I played like Davion Mitchell when he was 5,200 that day. That day I locked him in a few weeks back, or a week back. There are such thing as locks, but it's very rare that I'll do it. And even if I'm going to do it, I'll probably throw like one BS lineup in just to see what happens if the guy I'm locking in doesn't do something. Because if the guy I'm locking in is usually going to be pretty owned. If I'm playing like three lineups, I'll lock people in those 3 lineups, but I don't usually do it with multiple lineup entry. But no worries at all, my man. All right, I'm going to get out of here pretty soon and build my actual lineups. Again, I would love some starting lineups before I can, and I'm kind of free until 8. So pop your questions on the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, guys, get on in there. We really would love to have you. It's a good Discord. It's been a little drier on the NBA side since we've had all this other stuff going on, but it'll pick back up again. Not only just for the NBA, but most importantly, that we got MLBs. We got a lot of games. We got 200 days of baseball. And multi slates and all that. We're going to have all that stuff for you guys. So should be a lot of fun. Appreciate the kind words. Nick, thank you. What SD level do I use in my Saber Sim? I don't use, let me see what that is. Tell me what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't use Saber. I don't use optimizers for basketball at all, period. I look at them as a point of reference. I love the information. I love the projections. I am not interested in trying to optimally build lineups that have to be changed every 5 minutes. So on baseball, I can answer that question better because I'll probably know what it means. But I haven't scripted any lineups in probably like at least 9 months or so. So I don't use any of that optimizing stuff. All right. Looks like that was the last question. Unless Aaron's got to respond, because I'm happy. I'm happy to talk to it, because I could maybe if I understand what that means. I'm happy to talk to that point. I just don't know the exact answers. I don't use them. I know everybody else in our chat does. I know Sheets does. That's right, Green Monster. We got the big one, the Masters coming up. That one I will be scripting. Promise you that one. The problem is I love building hand-built golf lineups, but it feels like one to script for in time to win $1 million after it just missed us last time. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you. Good luck to everybody tonight. Let's make some money, and I will be in Discord.